Hello, Sally-Ann here, PT Skills, and today's bite-sized video, we are looking at skeletal system and postural abnormalities. So how various postures and how we could look at which muscles are shortened, which muscles are lengthened, and how we can help our clients with their posture. So I'm going to share the screen as per always. There's going to be a task at the end, and you'll need your notebook and pen. Okay, so let's crack on. Okay, so we have upper crossed syndrome, which we're going to start with, also known as kyphosis. So this is where we've almost got those shoulders rolled forward and that curve in the upper back. So the spine is hyperkyphotic, the shoulders are protracted, so they're drawn away from each other. Maybe we're rolled forward with the shoulders. And because of this, what happens is, if I come sideways on my chair, shoulders are rolled forward, and that's generally going to take, if our neck stays in alignment, our eyes are forward. But because we need our eyes on the horizon all the time, it brings our chin poking forward so that our eyes can be on the horizon. So it's going to affect our neck as well. So the muscles are in a between lengthened and shortened in a crossed kind of state. So which muscles are shortened and which muscles are lengthened? Obviously, if the shoulders are rolling forward, we're going to be quite tight in the front of the body. So anterior deltoid, pectoralis major is going to be quite tight. And then throughout our upper body, we're looking at things like mid trapezius, because we need to draw that back. So that will be lengthened, the rhomboids, and also the neck extensors. If we're coming into this position and our chin is lifted up, we're going to be quite tight in the back of the neck as well. So upper cross syndrome is going to have an impact on the posture within our upper body. So with our clients, we need to be looking at which muscles are tight, which muscles are lengthened. So upper cross syndrome or kyphosis is your first one there. Lower cross syndrome, so it's the same shortened and lengthened muscles that we're going to be looking at, but we're looking at in the pelvis. So it's an anterior pelvic tilt. So if we're looking at your pelvis, as I'm sitting here with my pelvis, if I'm imagining my pelvis as a bucket of water, if I'm tilting it forwards, that is an anterior tilt. Bringing it back, that's neutral, and tilting it back, it's a posterior tilt. So it's where my bowl, if I look at my pelvis as a bowl, is tilting forwards and I'm pouring water out of it, that is anterior tilt. So with lower cross syndrome, my pelvis is tilting forwards and the water is going to be pouring out of that bowl, out towards the front of my body. So therefore, that's going to give me quite a big curve in my lumbar spine. In my lower back, it's going to have quite a big exaggerated curve in my lower back. Bottom's going to tilt out a bit. Belly might stick out a little bit as well because we're tilted forwards and the bum's sticking out. So that's kind of what we're looking for with this lower cross syndrome, which is also known as lordosis. So lordosis is that excessive curve in the lower back. So I'm going to stand up. I can move my chair. Let me actually change camera for a moment. Can I change camera? No, I can't, not at the minute. So if I'm looking at my pelvis, just tuck my shirt in. This is how I lecture, just get up randomly. If I'm tilting forwards with my pelvis, just move this back a little bit. There's too much stuff on my desk, to be fair. Cables everywhere. Okay, if I'm tilting forwards, I've created that lumbar curve. My belly's coming out, and that's lordosis. So my pelvis is tilted anterior, which is going to give me that excessive curve in my lower back. So that's what we're looking for with our lower cross syndrome. You'll see that probably quite a bit in, especially females who've had babies, because they've had a lot of excess carrying, and that's going to pull their pelvis forwards. So what do we need to work on muscle wise? So if we want to draw the pelvis back into neutral, so coming back into that neutral position, we're thinking of rectus abdominis is lengthened. So we're going to want to work the rectus abdominis. We're going to want to work the muscles that pull the pelvis back as well. So we're looking at glutes and hamstrings, which attach to the pelvis, are going to bring it back into neutral as well. So hip flexors might be a little bit tight as well, because we're in that more of a flexed position in this. So we want to lengthen the hip flexors, or no, tighten the hip flexors, tighten the abdominals, and in the back of the body, we need to strengthen the glutes and the hamstrings so that we're really bringing that body into balance, because it's in that tilted forward position. So that's your lower cross syndrome. So it's the anterior pelvic tilt, water coming out of the bowl. And we use it at clients so we can maintain the water within that bowl, so by working on the muscles around it and strengthening those muscles. So as you can see on this picture, in that lower back with that curve, the muscles in the lower back there are going to be quite tight as well, because they're being squeezed as the pelvis is tilted forwards. Okay, and then we're looking at flat back posture. So the pelvis is tilted the other way. So where I said before, anterior tilt is the water pouring out the front. So the pelvis is posteriorly tilted, so it's more water pouring out the back. So it's giving us a very, very flat back. So we need to think on what is excessively tight here. So this particular picture, you can see this person doesn't really have much glutes. Many, can't really see their glutes sticking out there, haven't got much of a bottom, have they? So that's because it's all tucked under, because the pelvis is tilted the other way. So maybe their glutes and their hamstrings are a little bit tight here. Maybe their core's a little bit tight. So it's pulling the pelvis the other way around. So we'd be looking at this person, what muscles are tight here and what do we need to loosen off to get them into more of that neutral position. Basically, like with this neutral position we need to be in is so we can load the spine correctly. So if we're taking impact, we're lifting weights, etc., etc., we want the weight to go through the spine so that it's safe. Whereas if we're in a poor posture and we start loading that spine, that's when then we or our clients are susceptible to injury. So this posture, you can see the pelvis is further back, the person is presenting as not having much glutes in the back area there, because it's all tucked underneath where the pelvis is tilted. And then sway back. So the neck, the cervical spine is hyperkyphotic. So we've got that kind of hunched over look here. And again, the pelvis is in that posterior tilt, just as the previous slide. So again, what's happening is the upper body is swaying back so that this person can remain upright and stay balanced on their feet. If their back didn't sway back, they'd be more tilted forward and they wouldn't be able to hold their balance. So the upper body and the eyes are always going to adjust to try and get on the horizon so that we can maintain that walking and being able to see where we're going. So everything is going to adjust. So the lumbar spine is hypolordotic, so it's flattened out. The pelvis is tilted backwards, and the cervical spine is hyperkyphotic as well. So not a very good posture there. So we need to start thinking what is tight. So obviously we can see with the lower area, the glutes are tucked under, so the hamstrings, the glutes might be tight. The chest is going to be quite tight there, isn't it? You can see that the shoulders are rolled forward. So we want to work on strengthening the upper back, opening out the shoulders and looking at that pelvis alignment to get that into neutral. So those are your 4 postures. Okay, so we have a little task for you at the end of this. So I want you to list the main postural characteristics of the 4 postures that I've gone through. So it doesn't have to be in massive detail. So lower cross syndrome, how do you know? What does it look like? What kind of, what's your client going to present with? What are they going to have lordosis? So you'd say excessive lumbar curve. What's happening with their glutes, their hamstrings, the main muscles around that area, and list out those main characteristics of those 4 postures. If you want to take this a step further, then grab a family member. And what you can do is grab a family member and look at their posture, analyze their posture and think, okay, what's going on here? Look at them from sideways, behind, front, and start to look at their posture and see what they're presenting with. Maybe they are a little bit lordotic or kyphotic. So have a little look and start to apply it to people so that you can start to read people's postures. Love to know how you get on with this. You can do some drawings or some lists with those characteristics. If you analyze anyone, would love to see how you got on as well. So post anything in the comments below and we will chat very soon. Have a good day.